Hi, everybody, and welcome to today's panel. I'm joined by an esteemed group of clients and colleagues who have a bundle of experience in the world of automation and cognitive and digital. So it's great to welcome everybody today to the Embracing the Cognitive Enterprise, How Digital and Automation Drive the Workplace panel. Let's start with a round of introductions. I'm going to go on order of screen if possible. So, Mr. Hartley, if you can give us a quick intro, who you are, what you do, and tell us a little bit about what the cognitive enterprise means to you.
Hi, everyone. My name's Andrew Hartley. I'm a self-employed RPA consultant. I help organisations who are on their automation journey who may be lacking in experience or skills thereof. I guess I was schooled back in the day by GE Capital on process automation and lean principles. Adding that to the new technologies that are out there now, it works well together, and I hope that I can add value to the different organisations I work with. In terms of the cognitive enterprise, for me, it's pretty straightforward. It's augmenting, the workplace that's there at the moment with technology to do things better. I'm a big believer in customer services, and I think, having the skills that people and humans bring, adding that with complementing that, with, technology is where we need to be.
Excellent. And Kevin, to you, mate.
Yeah, thanks, Wayne. Kevin Turner, I'm the Digital Workplace Services lead, strategy lead, at Unisys, excuse me, for Europe. And very similar to Andrew in terms of my understanding of where I see the cognitive enterprise being. Where we're driving it is very much the making technology much more human. So we're trying to bring the consumer-like experience into the enterprise. So very much, smart tech rather than just tech.
Excellent. And Danilo from your library.
Hi, thanks for inviting me to this. I've been in automation for about 15 years now, mainly for banks. So Royal Bank of Canada, BNP Paribas, JP Morgan, and Citigroup. And I've done kind of RPA up to artificial intelligence as well. And at the moment, I'm heading up the automation program for Domus, which is a financial services company. For me, in history, we see humans constantly, trying to make themselves into robots or trying to make their workforce into robots, and it just doesn't work, biologically, physiologically. So I think, the cognitive abilities that are around today are really going to help us go back to being human and doing the things that we are very good at, and let the bots do all the other stuff that they're very good at. So I think it's really going to augment everything. It's going to drive tremendous change and transformation, but in very, very positive ways. So I'm really looking forward to the next 5 to 10 years for sure.
Excellent. And finally, Jason from Zurich.
Hi, Wayne, thanks. Jason Cripps, Zurich Insurance. I'm the Global Head of Operational Excellence and Intelligent Automation. Fundamentally, that's about driving greater efficiency and effectiveness within the organisation, based on process simplification in the purest sense, and then enhanced, if you like, or enabled further with automation and the technology capabilities that we have. On the cognitive side, I agree with the rest of what they said. It's that partnership between the employee and the different technologies that we have out there, and of course they're maturing very quickly at the moment, how we can optimise that partnership, if you like, to deliver not only better customer outcomes, but actually a better employee experience as well.
Excellent. And I think it'd probably be amiss to not talk about, I guess, the people in current scenarios. And I guess there's been quite a significant change to most people's lives, hence why we're doing this virtually and not in person as we would usually. Kevin, when we spoke beforehand, there was a phenomenal example of the shift that you would have to make. I guess enabled by digital more than anything else. But just tell us a little bit about how you managed to move from a very people-heavy on-site presence into a I guess, remote working and how big that scale was.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, thanks, Wayne. Yeah, so very much, you know, our service desk is distributed all around the world. We have 9 service centres in all the different time zones that they need to be located, and traditionally would always be manned, you know, people going into the office to work. During last year, we started work on our own digital transformation to enable it to be very much cloud first and cloud forward, but we were just working at our own pace to make that transformation. No real pressure. We'd implemented our first distributed centre out of India towards the end of last year, but then with the event of COVID-19, of course, we had to move very quickly. So we, in the space of 4 weeks, we expedited all of the other call centres to be in the same cloud configuration, and over the course of 4 days, moved all 3,500 of our service desk agents from an office base to home base. So they're all working from home. We had 0 service interruptions to any of our clients. And also on top of that, of course, because our clients were trying to do a similar thing themselves, we had a 54% spike in call volumes as well. So genuinely very impressive, and proof that thinking about a digital workplace and the other stuff that goes around it actually puts you in a great place to make that step, even if the step we've just made is quite unnatural, you know.
Absolutely, but I think one of the things that that kind of stands out is you were planning, not necessarily for this, but you were planning, and it wasn't necessarily the automation, it was the digitization of things. Thinking about, you know, the other impacts elsewhere, guys, what else has changed? So, you know, what has COVID driven from a change perspective in your organizations? And Jason, I'm going to come to you. What have you seen, I guess, from a global perspective, having a global role? Have you seen any differences in how different parts of the business, different regions are acting as a result of COVID-19?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting what Kevin said, though. So we've had the similar challenge of that shifting. I'm sure everybody has the shifting from office work to home and remote working. And not only just for our own people, but for our partner companies as well. So working with those organisations where we've got BPOs in place. And so that's been a significant shift. So a lot of it behind is supported by the IT function, obviously. But regionally, we have had slightly different, if you like, responses and approaches above and beyond that. And that comes down to some of the maturity of the businesses themselves. So where we have a bit more of a, if you like, an automation base and digital base already in EMEA, it was slightly different challenges for them than it would be, say, in LATAM and APAC. So off the back of that, I mean, what it has done though, this whole thing has highlighted more opportunity, if you like, and reinforced the opportunity to go digital and use things like automation to ensure that the business stays even more resilient in the future under these circumstances. And that's the key thing. So whilst there's a very similar theme underneath that we've needed to do that remote working, look after customers, look after employees, I'd say if anything coming out of this, you know, it's highlighted that real need and opportunity to enhance what we've already got digitally, but actually to do some further things as well. Whether that's through, you know, really using things like voice analytics, if you like, or big data information to tailor that response to our customer base. So it's been quite an interesting time. And of course, you know, just us here now on this call, I worked out that in the last 3 weeks, I think I've spent 2 times on what I would call a proper phone call. So the whole behaviour thing has changed, not only externally but internally as well. And that leads into the final thing I'd say, Wayne, is the level of collaboration that's gone on with inside the group is just a different level to what I've seen it previously. And that's not just only within country, but across the group, and the sharing of best practice and principles. I think that's probably one of the core things that I hope that we would take out of this as a learning and keep that collaboration going. It's a far greater place today than it's ever been due to the situation we've been put in of remoteness.
Yeah, excellent. And Danilo, I'm going to come to you, just thinking about things that have changed. You know, Jason spoke about lots of changes, changes to the way that we're even communicating, collaborating, fantastic. What about changes internally? What about automation as maybe more of a focus, less of a focus? How's it helping with things, I don't know, like regulatory changes or impacts as a result of us working in different ways?
Well, I think this crisis has actually given automation a whole lot more credibility than it had before. Because the bots that we have, the bots that I looked after in other companies, they're all working. They didn't break. And the typical conception, idea before was, well, if systems change, if there is a massive systematic change, then the bots will all break. But if you design them properly, and if you think of designing them in the right way, then they won't. They'll be dynamic enough to shift and change depending on the environments around them. So I think that has opened up a lot of eyes. A lot of leaders have seen that bots are a lot more robust than they thought they were. And while everybody else was trying to figure how to log on and use our RSA tokens and how to even think about working from home, bots are working in the background doing what they had to do. So that's definitely caused the discussion of accelerating automation, both in the company I'm in and in other companies that I know colleagues are in as well. So that's changed. The other thing that's changed as well is it's opened up people's eyes to automation is not just about FTE savings. It's about reputation. It's about operational risk. It's about reducing those red flags, meeting audit points. And that's become a real measure of success and a real measure of benefit now for my program. So it does take a crisis sometimes to change things. And I think in this situation, for automation in particular, it's changed for the better. And I think people are believing and seeing that it's a lot more credible, a lot more robust than they ever thought it would be.
Excellent. No, I think that's really useful. I'm guessing from what you said, there's none of your bots have been calling in sick with COVID symptoms then, no?
No, we haven't programmed them to do that yet.
Andrew, let me come to you. So, again, you've managed a number of different automation programs. It's definitely something that you have been involved in for a number of years now. I know when we caught up the other day, we were talking about digital transformation and what makes successful digital shift. Talk to me a little bit about the example that you had with a financial services organization who claimed to be extremely digital, but I think the experience you got was far from it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And don't get me wrong, I'm not, people have been through a very difficult time in terms of organizations and having to, move people remote. So I'm not having to go at the organization in any way. But I think they said they've done their digital transformation. I needed to speak to them, but just regarding a query. So, I'm a dream customer of most organizations because I class myself as a self-server. So, if I can find the answer myself and do it myself, I will absolutely do that. So I did, Julie went onto the website, onto my app, trying to resolve the query. Couldn't resolve the query. Looked for the FAQs, did everything you would normally do. Wasn't anything there. Looked for technology, so looked for the chatbot or anything like that. Nothing there. So then I took the advice of, what the organization was telling me to do, and they were telling me to ring up. So Julie entered another technology stream, which is an IVR. Entered the details, I navigated round. About 5 minutes later, I ended up where I needed to be, and they sprung up a message that said, sorry, due to COVID-19, we can't answer calls. And I'm thinking to myself, so I've just spent the last 5 minutes to get to a message to say you can't deal with my call. For me, pretty straightforward, put the message at the top of IVR. It's not rocket science. And I get people are busy and, it's a difficult time, but little things like that in terms of, helping customers is a lot easier. The next thing I did, I jumped back on the website looking for updates to see how I could resolve my query. Eventually, there was movement in terms of they put a web form on there. It took about a week, but yeah, movement, a bit of agile there. But unfortunately, the first thing I saw when I saw the web form, I knew that my query was going to take 4 weeks because what they'd done, they'd made the mistake of having just a free format box. No drop downs to categorize it, nothing there. So I knew immediately as soon as I saw that form, that my answer wasn't going to be anytime soon. But I duly sent it in, and as expected, it was 4 weeks away. Now, for a business that, say they've done a digital transformation or well down the track with it, to me, if this COVID-19 has done anything, it's given the businesses the opportunity to learn. If they've done the digital transformation, have they done it well? Clearly, the one that I spoke with, I don't believe they have. The people organisations that get out of the back of this better than others have probably done digital transformation much better than the others. For those that haven't started, if they're still around at the end of this, when are they going to push the button on moving forward with their digital transformation?
Fantastic. And I think this is, I'm going to go back to Kevin, and I'm not meaning to go around in a loop, but, on the back of Andy's points there, some of the things that you as an organization are looking to change as a result of, and again, I don't want to continue to talk about COVID, but it's such a topical subject at the moment, and it really, I feel, has highlighted the need for the cognitive enterprise more than ever. But you've got aspirations around your human versus your silicon worker, your digital worker, and what your ambitions are around having a cognitive workplace and a human workplace, and some pretty big numbers in there. And I think it's commendable to be starting to draw lines in the sand about how you are going to ensure that you as an organisation in the future are going to be positively. You're going to be in a positive place should this hit again, versus other organisations, to Andy's point, who appear to be massively in the doldrums because they've been too reliant on people. So tell me a little bit about what you guys are doing.
So it's very interesting as well what Andrew just said in terms of, as well, with the fact that having gone through several rounds of trying to get through to somebody, get told, no, sorry, we can't take the call. We've spun it the complete opposite way around. Our intention is that every single incoming contact will be processed by a virtual agent. So silicon first. So then from there, it will either be sufficiently informed and with the right skills to be able to handle the request or query or whatever's going on, or we'll then route them through to a live agent, to a human in context. So all of and so that they don't have to callers don't have to restate all of their problem and go back to start and frustrate them. So very much that's where we're trying to get to. Our intention is to get to about 40% of all of those queries being dealt with by the agent in about a 3-year period. That's where we want to get to. Mm-hmm. So we hope that will obviously give us more work. So it may be that our human agents are just as busy as they've ever been, but we've enhanced our workload with more work that we didn't have before. That would be great. But if not, then we'll be able to get our agents to do deeper, more complex things. So to Danilo's point earlier, the technology is very good at doing mundane, repetitive tasks. Mm-hmm. So that's what our tech is going to focus on, and then let the humans do the more complex stuff, which takes a little bit of deep empathy rather than just a little bit of gentle understanding.
Yeah. Okay, cool. That's really good. I mean, Jace, again, just coming back to you very quickly. We keep talking about technology. I mean, what technology do you think is needed in the cognitive enterprise? And again, not necessarily the technology types. I mean, what do you see as part of this the cognitive enterprise, I guess?
Yeah, I like what Kevin was saying there as well. That's one of those things, how you can give a better, like customer experience than what Andrew had from the digital enterprise there that he was with. And I think we're using those cognitive tools for sure, can help with that. I think one of the biggest learning points from our perspective is having that base foundation, if you like, that enables that enterprise to operate. And what I mean by that is digital ingestion for a start. You're used to having paper mail that comes into an office and gets distributed around, etc. Having that digitized up front has just highlighted the opportunity then you have from that to apply some of those cognitive technologies. So natural language processing, the OCR, ICR type things to extract data and information. And then that flows quite neatly into the way, like Kevin was saying, you can have it, if you like, virtually triaged buy these tools around to be then distributed electronically around the organisation. Of course, in a remote organisation, if it's electronic, it makes no difference, whereas paper is a bit constrained in the way you can do that. So for me right now, that digitisation of an ingestion of documentation and information, whichever way it comes in, is a real foundation point. And then being able to apply those things like natural language processing and even natural language generation are the key things to be able to respond, but also deal with, you know, the high volume of transaction interactions that we have as an organisation. And this has just been highlighted. You know, the examples that have already been given has highlighted the focus for doing this. And again, back to Andrew's point about digital, I think many organisations say they've done the digital journey because they've got a digital application form somewhere. So they've sorted out the new business side of things, but forgotten the spaghetti in the back end. And that's really where the real benefits come from on efficiency and effectiveness, is being able to find a simplified approach and way to handle that, you know, those tasks, processes, which are very repetitive, in a way that marries together the human side of it. So your employees who've got great experience and knowledge with the technology that can handle vast amounts of information and data and transact it quicker than we can. And that enhances productivity and outcomes.
Yeah, excellent. Danilo, you mentioned as part of your intro that you're really looking forward to the next 5 to 10 years. Jason just mentioned some of the current technologies that are there, and talking about digital ingestion. We've obviously spoken about bots, etc. What is it about the next 5 to 10 years, I guess, from a technology perspective and maybe an implementation perspective, that's actually getting you excited?
I think it's a couple of things. I think it's the whole, automation stack of technologies. So, RPA today is so much easier than it was 2-3 years ago, and it's really off the shelf now in terms of platforms. And the same thing is happening to the AI world as well. Things like OCR and NLP, that's becoming more off the shelf, where you can just take platforms and make tweaks to it. So I think there's going to be a really good marriage between the RPA and the AI world in next, this year, next year especially. And I think that's going to unlock a whole load of new potential. And then I think it's, this year, next year is finally going to be the year where people start coming around to the idea that, this is part of, everyday fabric in their lives and the companies that we work in. HR and departments like that are going to finally come around to understanding the impact that this stuff has to the company structurally. And I think then everybody's going to be marching, to the same, song, and everyone's going to be synchronized and working together, rather than having, what was happening last year and the year before in most companies, where people were trying to, question the credibility of automation and questioning, is this really going to be good for us? And, I think now everybody's coming around to the fact that, yes, it's going to be very good. But, if you don't embrace it, then you're going to have some trouble finding a job in the next couple of years. So, people coming to that realization. So everything is starting to now gel and to start kind of, come together in one synchronized ecosystem. And I think when that happens, that's when you get synergies. And that's when, amazing things start happening. And transformation, when it's embraced and it's backed up by the right technology and the right mindset, it can completely change the way we work. So yeah, what gets me excited is that I think next, 10 years from now, if that continues to happen in a positive way, then we're going to look back and think, gosh, the way we used to work was just so archaic. It was so inhumane. So we're going to be able to do things that we enjoy a lot more. And I think, governments should come around to it a little quicker as well. They need to make some changes to the education system. So when that comes around too, then I think things are going to get really exciting. And I think, society as we know today is going to be, unrecognizable. So that excites me. I think it's going to be a good.
Fantastic. And I think what you said there actually leads into something I want to talk to Andrew about. Change, significant change. We spoke about mindset we spoke about people accepting change. How important is change management, Andrew, in the programs that you've been running? Talk to us a little bit about that, because we've talked a lot about technology, but technology is only part of the picture, right? You can have the greatest technology, but without good change management, I'm guessing it generally is pretty useless. So talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So for me, the number one fundamental of any automation program is communication. That will make or break an automation program, and I think change management falls into that. Having a good, robust change management will solve problems later down the track, and it very much starts right at the beginning when when you're looking at doing a process assessment. If you've got a process there that's frequently changing, or there's a big major change on the horizon, you might want to lower that down the the priority list of others that haven't. Once you're up and running, I tend to batch things into three places. You've got your IT change, you've got your project change where your PMO team might be, and your BAs and PMs, and then you've got your local change. I think the first two lend themselves to automation. There's usually a lot of structure in there, so there's lots of meetings, there's lots of documentation that comes out, minutes, you name it. There's usually a lot to go after. Now, it's paramount that your automation team is involved with those teams of people. If there's meetings, attend the meetings. It's better to overkill at the beginning to find out what's happening in the organisation, and then when you're in the meeting, you start to judge, well, how frequently do I need to go? What documentation do I need to go, and what do I need to get? What I've seen is that as well as looking for change that's coming down the track that might impact on automation, you also might find a nugget of a change that you can get involved with. It's all about communication, making sure that you're involved with the right people, that you're involved in the right meetings, you're getting the right documentation. The last thing you want, as Danilo touched on, is something falling down later down the track because you've missed a change. There's nothing worse than hearing the words, the bots have failed. Usually a lot of people just hear the headline, the bots have failed. When you dig a little deeper, it's usually because someone's changed something and not told you. Even if it's a simple file path that operations have changed and they've not let you know about it. People don't tend to hear that bit, they just hear the bots have changed. And from experience, the bots don't fail. It's usually something to do with the human that made the bots fail. So I think, communication all around change is paramount to any automation program.
Fantastic. All right, guys. Well, as you may have heard, my buzzer went off to say that we are now slightly overrunning. So I just want to thank you all. 25 minutes, 30 minutes certainly wasn't long enough. I think there's so much we can talk about in this space, and we've only just scratched the surface. So thank you everybody for joining. Thank you to the audience for joining.